Hey guys, it's Omni from MMOs.com. I'm going to do another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements of the week ending on September 9th, 2019. This is episode number 216 of the recap, and the first of news this week comes from Grinding Gear Games regarding Path of Exile. The game launches Blood expansion this last week, on the 6th actually, for PC, with the console version set to launch on September 9th, which is later today. And you really got to hand to the folks over at Path of Exile, as the gap between the PC and console releases for their updates is just a few days, versus months for other titles like Neverwinter, and much longer for games like Terra and Black Desert Online. But anyway, as with previous Path of Exile expansions, the update marks the start of a new league, and with that comes a huge influx of players coming back to see all the new stuff in the game, which led to the game's player base jumping from an average of 8,000 or so players online on Steam to over 50,000 online, with a peak of over 74,000 on launch day. Anyway, the name of the update is Blight and introduces 3 revamped archetypes, new skills and support gems, new items including uniques, blight-infested late-game maps, new oils that can be used in enchant accessories, and more. The cool thing about Path of Exile is that every time they add new skills and support gems, it exponentially makes the game crazier because it's on top of all the other crazy stuff they've had before. Path of Exile continues to be one of the most successful Western-developed free-to-play games, and in my opinion will continue to be hugely successful, as their cash out from launch has always been fair. If you haven't played it, give it a try. Anyway, next up, Blade & Soul is launching its new class on September 18th, the Zen Archer, which, as you probably guessed, is a ranged DPS Archer class. The new Zen Archer class is coming with the Storm of Arrows update, which also includes a new 6-person dungeon, a new 12-person raid, new legendary weapons and accessories, along with general balancing and quality of life improvements. And if you are currently on the classic WoW bandwagon, and if you never played Blade & Soul before, it's definitely worth trying, because aside from games like Terra and Black Desert Online, it's really the only other persistent world real action MMORPG. But anyway, again, the new class is launching with the Storm of Arrows update on September 18th. Next up, a bit of odd news. Astellia announced today a new way to play the game without having to outright buy it for $40. Instead of buying the game up front for $40, it is now an optional subscription. So instead of shelling out $40 up front, you can play the game for $10 a month and get full access to the game that way, which is clearly aimed at people on the fence who can try Astellia without committing the entire $40 investment. The goal here is, of course, to give players a cheaper way to try the game and then buy the game if they end up liking it. Subscribers don't get any head start advantages, though, the same way you do if you pre-order the game right now. Definitely an interesting concept here, but I still think Astellia's biggest challenge is to get people to pay up to play it. I don't think it's a bad game, but I don't think it's offering quite enough to warrant the price tag. When you charge money for your game, it's going to be competing with games like Elder Scrolls Online and Guild Wars 2. Actually, Guild Wars 2's base game is free, so it has a leg up on Astellia. It's just tough to justify the price tag, but I wish them luck, and I could be wrong. Up next, Eternal Magic began its closed beta test this week and is set to run until September 15th. Visually, the game looks a lot like a poor man's World of Warcraft and promises Guild Wars, a MOBA mode for PvP, as well as traditional PvP battlegrounds. Also expect traditional MMO PvE stuff as well. This one is published by 101XP, a Russian company, and developed by Douyi, a Chinese game developer. Unfortunately, the closed beta isn't open to everyone, but the game will be free to play at launch later this year when open beta launches. While the game looks largely unremarkable, expect a first look video for this one if I can get access to the closed beta, so I did reach out to them, so I would like to do a first look for this one because I do enjoy playing these obscure games. Next up, a small bit of news for Legends of Aria. The game merges Azure Sky and Verdant Earth clusters into a single server called Ethereal Mountain to create a better player experience. And while some people don't like server merges, the choice between 2 dead servers and 1 lively one, in my opinion, isn't really much of a choice at all. Once you think about it, I prefer the one bigger server. Legends of Aria launched on Steam last month and has been averaging about 500 or so players online at any given time over the last 30 days. But looks like the figure is actually declining already. The average player base over the last few days is closer to 300. While I criticize Astellia for its buy-to-play business model, I'm a little more okay with Legends of Aria being buy-to-play only because it is at least a bit different than other games. It's reminiscent of old school MMORPGs like RuneScape and Ultima Online. So it's at least a bit different than like the legions and legions of Korean MMORPGs and Chinese MMORPGs out there. It's a little bit different. Still, I think Legends of Aria should go free to play eventually, only to increase their player base, because a massively multiplayer online game is supposed to be massive, and you can't be quite massive with so few players. Up next, we have a new shooter called Omni, which is labeling itself as a massively multiplayer online shooter/looter game, or MMOSSL, which is definitely a bit of a mouthful. Not sure why these guys want to try coining their own acronym, which definitely has no chance of catching on. Come on, guys, MMOSSL. I'm just thinking MMO Secure Socket Slayer, which is the SSL on website names. But anyway, this is an indie game. It's being developed by a 3-man team apparently, and is a post-apocalyptic shooter with MMO elements. You'll be buy to play once it launches, and they did release this trailer, which you can see in the background. Now, what I don't quite get is why their official gameplay video looks so low-res and poorly recorded. Very odd. Anyway, put it on your radar if you're interested. Next up, an update for an oldie. Uncharted Waters Online, which is available from Papaya Play, launched the Lost Memories Chapter 2 update this week. And when I say this one is an oldie, it's an oldie. It launched back in Japan originally in 2005, so a year or so after World of Warcraft first launched. Uncharted Waters Online is actually one of the few Japanese-developed MMORPGs out there. There really aren't too many of these, as most of them are Korean or Chinese developed. I do have to say, though, that this is a fairly unique game. In traditional Japanese fashion, though, the UI is quite awful, but if you can get past that, there's actually no other MMORPG quite like it. It's really different. Anyway, the new update adds new ships, a new ship decor system which allows personalization of ships, new items, and a few other small goodies. It's not a big update, but it's an update. Next and last bit of news this week comes from Perfect World Mobile, which launched its EU and NA server this last week, and I actually downloaded it on launch day out of curiosity, and it was exactly as I expected. A lot of autoplay. It plays a lot like World of Kings and other Chinese mobile MMORPGs. It does have a persistent world and beautiful graphics, but the core gameplay is so similar to other Chinese mobile MMORPGs. I know what you're all thinking. Is the character creation system as amazing as the PC version? Unfortunately, no, it's not nearly as good, but you can still make some pretty absurd looking characters with ridiculously wonky proportions and absurd looks, but not quite as ridiculous as the PC version. Anyway, guys, that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later, guys.